Well, hello. I have 12 o'clock. I think everybody's got a busy schedule, so let's get started. Welcome and thanks for joining us this afternoon for our new knowledge. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I am with Virginia Community Capital, and I'm happy to partner with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abington to offer this series of professional development workshops to new and existing businesses. The series has started in 2014 to support the Washington County Business Challenge, and it's become one of the longest running professional development workshops in the Commonwealth. And it's because of folks like our speaker today that we've been able to do that. A little housekeeping before I turn it over to Kathy Lowe. We have, because of security reasons, we have muted everyone and you will not be on camera. And that's just to kind of help keep the webinar flowing, but we do want to hear from you. And I know Beth wants to hear lots of questions that you may have. So if you have a question for her, if you will please post that in the Q&A section. At the end of her presentation, we will address those. And again, this is a workshop online, and we don't want it just to be talking all to you. We want to be able to answer your questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Lowe with the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator to introduce our speaker today.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. We are very lucky today to have Beth Stockner, CEO of Taking Stock Project Management. Her company focuses on public relations, social media marketing, event and website template creation, and Beth has been very busy during all of the COVID pandemic, and she has participated in lots of free seminars for folks to try to help the community, and we thank her very much. Before she gets started, she has been very instrumental in helping us get information out. So without further ado, Beth Stockner.
Hello and welcome today. I am very appreciative of being asked to speak, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Okay, can you see that okay, Sandy?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I can see it.
I have learned from experience to always make sure people can see your screens. All right. So thank you for allowing me to present today. I really do appreciate y'all allowing me to be here. And when Kathy and Sandy actually asked me to speak, the presentation was originally going to be focusing strictly on website security, but you know, everybody has a different platform, everybody has different hosting, everybody has different needs when it comes to website security. And so that one can be pretty tough to do in a presentation outside not working one-on-one. So, you know, one of the things that we need to think about is best practices for the internet, and that means keeping your account safe, your content fresh, and what your options are in expanding your online business options, including, you know, the pros and cons of the different types of online business platforms, online storefronts, and their security as well. So in modern times, especially now with pandemics and shutdowns and social distancing, we really have to keep our online presence up to date and secure. You know, a lot of people, the only way they're going to find your business right now is going to be the internet. So you need to make sure that you've got all of that information fresh. And we can't talk about keeping fresh content and security without first addressing you know, some of the key factors on that. One of the things that Sandy and I were talking about before we got started is how your own personal internet habits can impact how your business internet options can be and your business internet safety. So those two are going to be one and the same. So you're going to see today, I'm going to be talking a lot about your own personal habits, but you have to remember those are going to reflect back on your business as well and keeping you safe. So social media, you know, obviously we can't be talking about any type of online presence these days without talking about social media. And I am sure that you have heard it 1,000 times, but social media is a must for every business and organization that wants to connect with the public. If you have, of course, the other thing is, if I have any Marvel fans here, you'll get this reference. But just like Uncle Ben's Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. In terms of social media, this means having a social media account that does not mean people will just come to your business, but you also must maintain it, monitor it, and follow safe social media practices to make sure you're successful. Having a well-planned social media marketing plan is a must for businesses and organizations. A good social media presence for your business can give your business great benefits. And actually, I'm going to do a quick thing to cover these benefits, because if you're not already on social media for business, you need to be on social media as your business. And there are several reasons, so I'm going to go ahead and cover those really quick. One, of course, is improving your brand awareness. Social media is one of the most profitable digital marketing platforms that can be used to increase your business visibility. By applying social media strategy, it will help you significantly increase your brand recognition. By spending only a few hours per week, over 91% of marketers claimed that their social media marketing efforts greatly increase their brand visibility and heighten their user experience. Having a social media page for your brand will benefit your business, and this is with regular use, it can also produce a wider audience for your businesses. That's going to be one of the key trends you're going to be hearing about today. It's going to be keeping your content fresh, keeping it up to date. So, you do have to, if you want that success, you're going to have to keep using it. One of the other big advantages with social media is it is very cost effective. For an advertising strategy, social media marketing is possibly the most cost-effective way. Creating an account and signing up is for free for almost all social networking platforms. But if you decide to use paid advertising on social media, always start small to see what you should expect. Being cost-effective is important as it helps you to obtain the greater return on investment and hold a bigger budget for other marketing and business payments. Just by investing a little money and time, you can significantly increase your conversion rates and ultimately get a return on your investment on the money that you primarily invested. And what I mean by start small is with your page, start with just boosting a few of your posts, kind of see what type of posts are, get the best traction, which one are the ones getting the most, actually the most conversion rates, to be honest with you. Look to see, are people buying your product or going to your website based on these ads or these boosted posts. And your budget can even start off as small as, $10 over a couple of days period. That's the great thing about it. It doesn't have to cost a lot as long as you're effective with the way you write your posts and the way you develop your target audiences. And we're going to talk a little bit about your brand, your client's brand journey later and buying journey. And that's part of the buying journey. You have to remember they have to find your product. They've got to, then research your product. They'll have to go to your website. You need to be able to provide them information on your website about why they should buy your product. So, this part of it, the social media part, is just the first part of what can be a full journey to end with the purchase of your product or knowing more about your organization and going through with your call to action. So do be aware, though, you can spend just a little bit in social media marketing and still be able to reach a whole lot of folks if you do the right target audience and you write your posts the right way. Next thing is, one of the greatest things about it is it does actually allow you to engage with your customers. That's a really big thing. You actually get improved brand loyalty. You are actually able to talk to your customers, find out your customers' needs. Sometimes that can even end up being a purchase in the long run because they've already developed a relationship with you. And you can't do that just with a regular website because, people are seeing that on their screen, that type of thing. but you are not interacting with them necessarily. So social media is a great way to engage and talk to your customers and find out what it is your customers are really wanting. Is it a product you may not have advertised, but they're looking for, and you know that they know that you may carry that brand? You might actually have a sale out there that of a product that you might be able to drop ship for them. So that's the great thing about social media, is you're able to engage with your customers, talk to your customers, especially in days that we have now with pandemics and shutdowns and social distancing. And, you know, are you actually going to be able to engage with your customers and clients the same way? Not necessarily. The social media will give you that opportunity. So also, for the same reason, it improves your brand loyalty. When you have a social media presence, you're actually making it easier for your customers to find you and connect with you. By connecting with your customers through social media, you're more profitable to upsurge the customer retention and loyalty rates. And since developing a loyal customer base is one of the main goals of any business, and it is more affordable to keep a customer than it is to try and get a new customer, you want to do that. So brand loyalty is a very important thing. I know, you know, once you go to a store, once you're familiar with that store, if you have a question or you have a product you want to buy, you're more likely to go to the people you know or you've at least interacted with. So do definitely realize social media can create brand loyalty. Also, it helps to create healthier customer satisfaction. Again, that's a maintenance thing. You've got to be able to follow up. You've got to respond to messages. You've got to respond to comments, or at least, you know, at least you need to show that you are aware of their comments. So in other words, you know, if you have a client that wasn't happy and they said something on your website, on your Facebook page, if you're able to engage with them in a polite way, you may actually transition that unhappy customer into somebody that now is very loyal to you. So you can actually maintain a much healthier customer satisfaction, because you don't always know that somebody's unhappy just strictly from a website. Other thing that most people do not realize you can use for social media is marketplace awareness and research. One of the best ways to find the needs and wants of your customers instead of directly communicating with them is marketplace awareness. It's also considered the most valuable advantage of social media. By observing the activities on your profile, you can see customers' interest and opinions you may not know otherwise if you don't have a social media presence. As a complementary research tool, social media can help you get information and better understanding of your industry and your local area. Once you get a large following, you can use these tools to examine other demographics of your customers. Also, you're going to have more brand authority. For making your business more powerful, brand loyalty and customer satisfaction both play a major role, but all comes down to communications. When customers see a company posting on social media, especially replying to their queries and posting original content, it helps them to build a positive image in their minds. Regularly interacting with your customers proves that you and your business care for them. Once you get a few satisfied customers, you're vocal about their positive purchase experience, you can let the advertising be done for you by your actual genuine customers who appreciated your product or service. Nothing is better. You can purchase ads all day long, but that organic expansion of your social media posts is the most valuable. When you have happy customers share information about your business that you didn't have to pay for, that is hugely powerful. And, you know, that helps to spread the word, because you may not necessarily have access to those customers' friends lists. They're sharing it on their friends lists, which expands your network dramatically. Also, another big thing you're going to look at with your social media, having a social media page for your business, again, this is keeping in with the website side of things, is it's going to increase traffic to your website. One of the big things you need to do with your social media is make sure you drive people to your website, where they're going to be able to learn about your product, purchase your product, or possibly, you know, if you have a call to action, if you're an organization, be able to follow through with that call to action. one of the benefits of social media is it does increase your website traffic. And you know, you're giving your users a reason to click through your website. On your social media account, the more quality content you share, the more inbound traffic you will generate while making conversion opportunities. So that's something to be aware of. And then also, here's another big one when we're talking about keeping, you know, people coming to your website and increase traffic, is you're also going to be getting enhanced SEO rankings, that's search engine optimization rankings. And social media presence is becoming a vital factor in calculating these rankings. These days, to secure a successful ranking, CEO requirements are continuously varying. Therefore, it is no longer enough to simply optimize your website and regularly update your blog if you have one. Businesses sharing their content on social media are sending out a brand signal to search engines that speak to your brand, viability, integrity, and consistency. So now that we have covered the why you need a social media presence for your business, let's cover the do's and don'ts of keeping a safe, secure, and up-to-date social media presence. Because again, what you do in your personal life is going to impact what you do on your business side. Because you know, if your personal page gets hacked, your business page is going to get hacked. So you do need to make sure that you practice good social media hygiene. And so I'm going to go ahead and cover this next. All right. So one, remember your business social media account is tied to your personal account. Now that's not always true. Twitter, you know, a lot of times you'll keep a separate account for Twitter versus your personal account. But Facebook, you actually have to have a personal account in order to maintain your business account. Same way usually with Instagram. Also, bad personal social media hygiene can hurt your business. Just like I said, if you get hacked, your business page can get hacked, and I've seen it happen. Hackers love to use social media to gain access to personal and business email accounts, websites, bank accounts, passwords, etc. So you need to be careful when posting images or information that might contain sensitive data, both from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint. If you post, you know, sharing your coffee mug picture on an account, make sure you don't have your computer in the background with, say, your banking information on it. That's one of the things that actually hackers are using nowadays. They'll especially have been going after interns and new hires. When they post their first day of work picture, they will have them with their, you know, coffee mug or at their desk, and they don't realize there might be sensitive business data in the background on the photo that just got shared that the hackers are then able to zoom into and gain access to. So even be careful about what type of images you're sharing on your social media, because those could be used to also attack your business. The same way with, and we're going to get into these later, but you know, when everybody always has the little quizzes and everything on social media, you know, a lot of times they start getting into stuff that you might need to be careful with. Like some of them will actually ask, you know, let's play this game to get to know each other better. But things like, what was your child's birth date? What was your wedding date? What, you know, is your child's, all your children's names and ages? Well, those often end up getting turned into password information. So be very careful when you're responding to those quizzes. And I play these quizzes too sometimes. So, you know, it's just always be careful with what type of questions they're asking. Is it something that could convert back to a password or sensitive information on something? All right. So these, when we're talking about social media, when we're talking about website security, we're talking about email security, really when you're talking about any type of security, there's two big terms you need to know. And I'm actually going to give you a small glossary coming up on several of these, but the two biggest ones you need to know are going to be hacker and scammer. And I'm sure that all of you have heard one or both of the terms before. A hacker is a broad term that describes all attempts to intentionally access or harm information assets without or in excess of authorization of sorting, logical security mechanisms. A scammer is a person who commits fraud or participates in a dishonest scheme. And often hackers and scammers are one and the same. But, you know, hackers are basically breaking into your information. They are thwarting the security systems. They are, you know, bypassing the security process on the internet, on your computer, etc. So you have to be really careful about hackers and scammers both. And social media, unfortunately, is a gold mine for hackers. It acts as a data delivery mechanism for users' contacts, locations, and even business activities. Hackers often use this to gather critical information about a company or an individual, develop targeted advertisement campaigns, or spear phishing attacks, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Those are targeted email attacks. Hackers can use your images, hashtags, and other information to gain knowledge on your business. It is very important to be aware of that. And so there are going to be some additional terms that when we're talking about social media and website security and email security that you also need to be aware of. So, you know, you've got to remember that hackers and scammers will use your social media to scam and hack you. Hackers and scammers may use any or all of the following forms of attack to gain the information needed for these attacks and schemes. So I'm just going to have these terms up on here. I do have the definitions, but I don't think y'all want to read those. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about them. But the first one we're going to talk about today is going to be phishing. Phishing attacks use email or malicious websites to solicit personal information by posing as a trustworthy organization. For instance, an attacker may send an email appearing to be from a reputable credit card company or financial institution that requests account information, often suggesting that there is a problem. When users respond to the requested information, an attacker can use it to gain access to those accounts. We're going to go one step further, though, is something most of you may not be familiar with. I know a lot of you probably are familiar with phishing, but another one to go even farther is called spear phishing. It's where they use information they may have gathered about you and your business from different sources on the internet, including social media, to do a highly specialized targeted phishing message. And these can also happen on Facebook through Messenger and some other places. So we do always have to be vigilant. But spear phishing is basically taking phishing one step further. It involves targeted emails that typically are used as a catalyst for individuals to click on hyperlinks or open attachments, allowing the downloading of malicious content to the user's device and the unauthorized entry into an organization's network. Business activities and products that can be leveraged by an attacker to develop targeted emails addressed to individuals within an organization. So one thing to be aware of is right now, especially during COVID, phishing and spear phishing is at an all-time high. I've actually been receiving a lot of emails and calls from my clients asking about these type of attacks in forms of common website domains, renewal sites, hosting platforms, bank accounts, insurance companies, online storefronts like Amazon, etc. One of the ways to identify phishing schemes is to check the email addresses. Phishing accounts often look similar, but are different than the actual email addresses used by correct official accounts. Often it may have a dot or an extra letter in an odd place, for an example. Some can be much trickier than others. Saw one earlier today from accounts@business.amazon.com. Well, at least that's what it looked like it was coming from. Because accounts@business.amazon.com is actually a legitimate email address. However, when you started looking a little bit farther, it was sent from a fake email account, which showed up as Amazon spelled with an S and a Z in the letters. So, you know, when you're looking at those email addresses, where it may come from, you might have, for instance, a lot of my clients use Weebly to update their websites. So you might get an email, a fake email from someone using accounts at w.weebly.com. That's a fake one. If you actually got an email from Amazon, it would be amazon.com, or it would be, you know, in the case of Weebly, it'd be weebly.com. So really be watching for anything unusual in the email account. Same way with BB&T. You might have, you know, them use a different symbol or a different word in there than what you might be thinking. Or, you know, if you're using First Bank and Trust, or you're using an insurance company, always double check that domain name they're using in their email, because that may very well be a phishing scheme. And some of those are just straightforward phishing. We're going to throw it out there. We know that most people use Amazon, so we're going to send it out to everybody we can get an email address on and pretend to be Amazon. Some are going to use the information they get from you for your business or from your personal social media accounts to do those targeted emails. And that's where we have to be aware of spear phishing. It's those targeted emails. And again, that actually ties into our next one we're going to talk about, which is social engineering. Hold on here. So let me go back. Right, so social engineering is a social engineering attack, and this is where they are using your information you might have on social media or online to go after you. And it's an attack. It's an attacker who uses human interaction, i.e. social skills, to obtain or compromise information about an organization or its computer systems. Social engineering tactics include deception, manipulation, and intimidation, sometimes even blackmail, to exploit the human element or users of information assets. So, you know, it might be blackmail, or it might just strictly be a manipulation thing. It might be one of those things where it pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, but that's how they're able to gain information and use social engineering. So you have to be really careful about that. Pretexting. Pretexting is actually a very common form of social engineering breaches. It's a practice of getting an individual's personal information under false pretenses using a variety of tactics. The pretexter may be able to obtain personal information, including a social security number, bank and credit card account numbers, information in a credit report, and the existence and size of savings and investment portfolios. However, some information about an individual may be a matter of public record. So this is something to be aware of. Sometimes they'll get a hold of information that might be public record as well, including whether you own your own house, pay your real estate taxes, or have ever filed for bankruptcy. It's not necessarily pretexting for another person to collect that type of information. However, you know, hackers and scammers can use that information when creating phishing schemes or spear phishing schemes, etc. So be very, very careful about what information is out there under the pretexting format. The next one you're going to hear me talk a lot about in future slides, but this one is called like farming. And like farming is also called like harvesting. It's a method used by commercial parties and scammers alike to raise the popularity of a site or domain. The ultimate dream of every like farmer is for his or her post to go viral by accumulating as many likes and shares as possible from all over the world. Like farmers rely on near instinctual reactions from users by exploiting hot button topics such as child rearing or animal welfare posts. From commercial parties such as website stores, you can expect giveaways and lotteries. So when you see a post about, you know, an animal, or you see a lottery or a giveaway, I know a lot of people have seen the Ellen giveaway, those type of things are like farmers. And here's why they can be dangerous, is the difference between legitimate like farmers and scammers. Like farmers, legitimate like farmers basically just really like that, you know, getting as many people possible liking their posts. You know, they want to go viral, and then they will turn around and try to sell you a product or whatever sometimes. But, you know, the thing is, like farming also opens the doors to scammers. And so like farming, you're going to hear me talk a ton about, because it's a personal pet peeve of mine. Scammers will often use like farming to transform these popular posts into something completely different. Sites that trick users into giving away their personal information, forking over money or credit card details, or clearing out what's called crypto wallets. So you need to be really, really super careful about like farming. And we're going to talk about again some more in a little bit. But malware is something that basically all of these things we just talked about is giving hackers and scammers a chance to insert malware into your account. So malware is short for malicious software. It means any software or code developed or used for compromising or harming information assets without the owner's informed consent. Malware enables or prolongs access, captures data, and or furthers the attack. Often hackers use the above platforms to insert malware into your system. And one of the ones I forgot to mention earlier, and I'll mention it again later in the presentation, but one of the easiest ways for hackers and scammers to be able to insert malware into your computer is Facebook Messenger. Just be very, very aware, especially videos. Don't ever share a video on Facebook Messenger. And if somebody, likewise, if somebody sends you a video on Facebook Messenger, don't click on it. I always ask people if they have a video they want to share with me to post it on their main page, put it on YouTube and share it, something like that, because those videos, those often are where you're going to get those malware attacks on the social media side. That's something to be very aware of. So now we've talked about these common terms. What I want to cover next is practicing good social media hygiene. So just like antiseptic wipes and hand washing can help protect us for our physical health against getting sick, locking down our social media profiles helps to protect our online health, because it can be just as dangerous to get, you're hacked sometimes as other type of things. You don't want to get your computer sick, because then of course you could lose your bank accounts, you could lose access to your credit cards. You could also have somebody totally take over your business website and you could lose thousands. So you've got to be very, very careful about following good social media hygiene, and not just social media hygiene, but good online hygiene in general. So good steps to have good social media hygiene. And I'm going to break these down a little bit just so that you can get good details on each one of these, because I do feel like we need to go into detail on these. So what we're going to do, what you need to do is first you're going to create a strong password. You're going to enable two-factor authentication. We'll get into that in more detail. Privacy settings. You want to restrict who sees your account. You want to avoid questionable friend requests. You want to be careful about what you like and share, and that's a biggie. And then you also, if you have access to it, you want to make use of a VPN, a virtual private network. So we're going to start with practicing creating a strong password. This is important not just for social media, but it's also important for your bank accounts, your website login information, your email, basically anything where you have to have an online password. You need to create strong passwords. Honestly, if you use a random password that you might not even remember, you actually are probably going to be more confident that no hacker or software will be able to crack your security measures. Again, this is where you're getting into being careful about playing those online games and quizzes where you post too much personal information about yourself, because all of us have a tendency at times to forget and turn a password into something that's personal to them. I mean, people use their wedding dates, or people use their birth dates, or people use their kids' birth dates, or people use their dog's name. Those are all things you might be posting on social media. So you need to be aware. Have I ever put any of this information, have I ever used any of this information as a password? If so, I probably shouldn't put it on my social media account. So recommendation, and this is what Facebook actually requires, but so do most other online outlets, is you need to have at least a minimum, and this is a minimum, of 9-character password. And most of the sites will inform you how strong it is with a measuring bar. Facebook definitely gives you a little measuring bar to say whether it's strong, weak, that type of thing. And it doesn't mean that when it strikes the strong level that it's actually secure enough. Try to add extra characters like dollar signs, asterisks, @ signs, hashtags, question marks, whatever. You use those symbols in there if it allow you to. Facebook does, to make sure your password is as secure as possible, because those are a little harder to guess. You never know where somebody might be putting in those symbols. So symbols definitely are a recommendation when creating a good, strong password, because even if people can hack into your birth date, say if you were using your birth date as password, they're not going to know which one of the symbols. So it's going to take them a few more tries to figure it out, or placement of the symbols. So definitely, I encourage you to use the symbols in your passwords if you're not already. All right. So next, we're going to be talking about two-factor authentication, and I will be sharing an image for that just so y'all know how to do this. This is actually an added layer of security offered by Facebook. Each time your account is used on another device, you will have to submit a security code to verify yourself. Facebook will ask for your password and then login code anytime it notices an unusual login. This code is usually sent to you via text or other secure application of your choosing. So you can choose email, you can use text, they can even call you with the code. And it's a very practical way to keep your Facebook safe and block out anyone trying to use it from succeeding. I actually have a true story about two-factor authentication last year. I was at the beach and my phone picked up on the hotel Wi-Fi rather than my own VPN, which I usually try to keep a VPN going. And within 24 hours, I started having someone trying to log into my account from India. So, the two-factor authentication let me know there was unusual activity of somebody trying to log in, and it wouldn't let that person in, even though they had managed to get information off of me. But the reason they weren't able to get in was because they had the two-factor authentication. So when I got the text, I was able to report to Facebook that no, this isn't correct. And then I went in and changed my password, and I kept my site, my Facebook page secure. If I hadn't had the two-factor authentication, I could have even been hacked. And I'm usually pretty careful, but it can happen to anybody. So having that extra two-factor authentication is important. So if you're on Facebook, you have to activate two-factor authentication, you need to go settings, security, login, and then you need to look for two-factor authentication and click on the edit button. And you're going to see that right here. So this image right here actually has that, shows exactly what you need to select. And that's where you can put in your information. So if you get a login at a weird place, they can be able to contact you and say, hey, somebody's trying to log into your website your Facebook account from an outside source. Is this really you? If so, put in the code that we're giving you right now. And so that really does help you to keep your site, your Facebook page locked down. Because again, somebody hacks into your personal account, they can get into your business account as well. And I've had friends that have actually ended up having, messaging me, even though they weren't clients, messaging me at 12 o'clock at night saying, somebody just took over my business page, what do I do? And I've had to walk them through the process, which we're going to talk about that again in just a minute. If your page does get hacked, some of the things you can do to help recover that page. But next step on your social media hygiene is going to be privacy settings. You need to make sure you restrict who sees your account. Restricting who can see your friends lists or your latest posts reduces the open sources intelligence. And that is OSINT, and that's open sources intelligence, gathering opportunities for hackers and scammers. This in turn reduces the information they have to try to use against you in phishing and spear phishing attacks, for instance. How do you do this? For each of your social media accounts, the process is going to be slightly different. And I suggest if you are on multiple platforms, which really a good business should be, you need to go ahead and set this up on your restrictions on who can see your account from your personal side, not necessarily your business side. That's a whole different setup. But from your personal side, you need to restrict who can see those accounts. So what you're going to do, as I suggest, is you go to open Google or any other search tool, and on your internet browser, search for privacy settings and the name of the app you're looking. So in other words, privacy settings Facebook, or privacy settings Instagram, or privacy settings Twitter, or privacy settings, Pinterest. And then they will actually, usually you can find the information from those specific apps to secure those particular platforms. And I don't really share all the details and steps for each one of those here, because honestly, those apps are pretty good about changing that up on a fairly regular basis so that hackers are less able to get into those. So definitely go ahead and search it and use the steps given by the individual apps, because those will actually give you the best options. They will also give you different options based on whether you're logging in from a PC, a laptop, an Android phone, or an iPhone, or other devices. So that's another reason why it's good to go ahead and for you to search it and find the information that's applicable to your device and your accounts. So here's the next one. This is the biggie that I'm sure that most of us have seen that are on social media, and that's avoiding questionable friend requests and questionable messages. So that's one thing I do want to remind you is Facebook Messenger is a huge tool for hackers to gain access. But the first step is making sure you're avoiding those questionable friend requests. If you friend somebody, they're going to have a lot easier, that's not real, they're going to have a lot easier time trying to get you to step into clicking on a link or getting access by a hacker. So don't ever accept a friend request from people you don't know or suspicious of. If you do, you are your whole Facebook page, friends, likes, and comments are actually going to be open to those you have accepted. Any hacker might be posing as a fake account, waiting for the moment you press confirm. Once you accept, you're giving that person open invitation to take all they want and leave you hanging. They can take over your account even. They can take over your business pages. They can take over different things. So you got to be very careful. It's always best to keep information like your birth date, address, number, and so on private. Make sure you keep those private on your social media accounts. Don't share those. Even if you trust your friends, don't share those with your friends. Also, such info can potentially help a hacker steal your identity. Adjust your privacy settings on Facebook. Separate who you trust and who you don't by simply choosing who can see what you post. You can also prevent anyone from finding you in the search bar. Only you will have the ability to locate them if you know them in person. So you need to be careful. You need to make sure you got your privacy settings up on who can see your content. And also be careful of whom you accept. It's a friend request, but not all people are friendly. And beware fake accounts posing as someone else. We've all probably seen a friend request from a person we're already friends with. And, the biggest thing is to make sure, is this legit? Do they have to set up another account because they lost access to their previous account? Is there a reason why they have a second account? So, that's something to be aware of. And those do legitimately exist at times. However, more often than not, those are actually cloned profiles or stolen profiles. And it's easy, sadly. Always check. Clone profile, all anybody needs to do is go to your Facebook page, steal your picture, steal any personal information they have, and look at your friends list and start sending friend requests out. You don't have to be hacked for somebody to clone your account. It's just as simple as having an image. So make sure you are aware of cloned accounts, and just because somebody's got a cloned account does not mean you were actually hacked. but it does mean that somebody's trying to gain access to your friends and hack your friends by copying your account. And, you know, it's what I would suggest on that one is always check to see if you're already friends with that person. Message the person you know, and to make sure it's legit, and ask them different questions. You know, if the new request messages you, you want to ask them something that only you and your friend will know before accepting. Often I'll just ask, how do I know you? Just double checking, you know, and that way, if it really is my friend, they can say, hey, it's me, and we went to high school together, and, you know, give me some sort of funny story. And it's like, okay, I know it's really my friend, and they had, you know, they had to create a new account for some reason or another. On the other hand, it could be a cloned account. They don't necessarily know how we met. So that's always a really good one to come across, is, you know, knowing that part. Again, though, how often do these quizzes have online quizzes on social media say, how did we meet? You know, that type of thing. They could actually be, people could actually be using that information as also to gain access to your account for an online, you know, cloned friend request. So be very careful about that. And it's not always someone you know that has a profile stolen. I'm going to give you a quick story of something that happened to myself early in my social media experience, probably a good decade ago. You've got to be aware that catfishing and social media and social engineering are very common with fake friend requests as well. So be aware that scammers often use social engineering to figure out what you hold important. And this is the story that happened to me. Is my husband was deployed to the Middle East early on in my social media experience. I was, at the time, you know, my husband was in the Middle East. I had 2 young children. So I was in a vulnerable situation there. So I was very, very, very passionate about supporting our soldiers and our military. And so I had liked a lot of military support pages, that type of thing. And I started noticing shortly after liking a lot of these pages, and this could be anything. It could be animal welfare, it could be in the environment, it could be whatever it is you personally feel passionate about. Scammers will follow those pages and see if somebody follows a lot of something, and then they'll create a profile, they'll create something that they think will make you vulnerable to their information. Thank goodness I didn't fall for any of these, but, you know, I did notice shortly after liking all these military support posts, I started receiving lots of fake soldier messages and friend requests. Thank goodness, you know, I was already, you know, keeping an eye on that type of thing, and I knew these were fake requests. And one was because I wasn't looking to connect with any other soldiers but my own husband. And the other was that my sister and my brother-in-law, who are both in the military, had actually been victims of stolen social media identities. My brother-in-law's military photo was stolen and actually used to create fake social media catfishing scams. The scammer stole his photo, made up this whole story about how, you know, he was a single dad who was widowed, and he was in the Middle East serving the military, and his kids needed help. And so this was this whole big fake storyline to my brother-in-law's military picture that kind of pulled on the heartstrings, because this was, you know, this was closer to 2001 and September 11th and all of that type of thing. So, you know, people were really, that was a hot topic item at the time. So my brother-in-law's military photo was stolen, and, you know, ended up finding out because one of the victims of this catfishing scam actually ended up messaging my sister. She tracked everybody down, the real people down, and it turns out that this catfishing person had built thousands of dollars out of victims that had had their heartstrings tugged on, trying to help this poor widowed soldier to take care of his kids, which was all fake. And he ended up having his, once they start doing that, once they steal your profile picture, they will just keep shifting the name. They'll just keep shifting the information on and on and on. My brother-in-law is constantly reporting to the military, probably once every 3 or 4 months. Hey, found another one, got another fake account out there using my profile. And the military actually works with Facebook to really keep that nailed down. But you're going to find it with other folks too. You're going to find, people talking about, a poor dog that's been abused. Will you give us money to help take care of this animal or whatever? So you need to always be aware of fake profiles and questionable friend requests, but also questionable messages. If you don't know the person, always, always, always verify information. And honestly, if you don't know the person, you shouldn't accept a friend request from them, or unless you know them through a mutual friend and there's a viable reason why. So you always have to be careful with that. And to go in line with that and be careful with what you're liking, this is my big one. And if any of you, which I know several people on the meeting today are my Facebook friends, so you will know that like farming is a major pet peeve of mine, and I probably make a post about it once every few months, because here's the thing. One prayer, one like, one share does not mean one prayer. This is what's called like farming. That photo of the sick or dying child asking for prayers is likely a stolen photo. I hate to say it. Sometimes it has some really sad stories involved with the stolen photo. There have been parents that have had issues with their pictures of their children that may have passed away that are still being circulated on the internet to scam people. So, unless you know the person personally or the family personally, don't post, like, or share any of these type things. I am very passionate about this because, it's a very sad situation that these scammers are taking advantage of bad situations. I am actually here to tell you, be heartless, because, it's much better to actually say a prayer than it is to like a post or share the post. That's not going to help anybody, because what you're doing, you are helping somebody, but it's not the person that's sick or the family that's sick. It's certainly not the child in the photo. You're actually helping the scammer. You're helping the like farmer. So this is like farming. You've got to be careful about it, because it can open the door to scammers and hackers. And it also is taking advantage of someone that might legitimately be in need. Here's what you're actually doing when you type amen or share a photo on your wall. You're exploiting what is most likely a stolen image of a child whose family has no idea it's being used. You're making the owners of the page that posted it, or the twisted people who stole the photo and created the post, a whole lot of money potentially. First, those pictures are being used without permission from the child or their parents. Sometimes the children in the pictures don't even have a medical issue. They're just random photos somebody found on the internet, and they're exploiting people. And you are actually falling prey to a possible attack or scam. So I am very passionate about like farming, because it is dangerous, not only to you, but it's also putting someone else in a bad position, especially when it involves children. Furthermore, with like farming, Facebook, here's the big one: lotteries, prizes, sweepstakes, those are also like farming. When you're sharing that Ellen sweepstakes, or you're sharing the like this post and you might win a free car type thing, unless it's a local company that is actually legitimately doing those things, they're most likely like farming as well. That's another one, that hot topic item that will touch on people's emotions and get them excited. So you do need to be aware of that. So Facebook does not always, and also finally, Facebook does not donate money to individuals for medical treatments. They're based on the photo and like. So just because you share it does not mean Facebook's going to give you any money or give that person any money. All right, so actually I am going longer than I had thought I was going to, so I'm going to hurry it up just a bit. But finally, use a VPN, virtual private network. That is making sure when you're on public Wi-Fi, people don't have access to your accounts. Just like I said, I made the mistake of using public Wi-Fi at the beach last year. I had someone try to hack into my account. All right, so really quick on social media business pages. This is where, there are three big things for safety on social media business pages. One is to create page roles. Another one is to be aware of toxic users. And finally, you need to moderate profanity. So, oopsie, here we go. So creating page roles, this is important because you always want to have someone else that has access to your business pages. Because if you do get hacked, you could get locked out of your own business pages if you don't have somebody else out there that can log in and remove your hacked account as a reference point. So that's something to be aware of. As I said, I had a friend last year message me at 12 o'clock at night. His personal account got attacked. So the organization he worked for, their page got attacked. Thank goodness there was somebody else that worked for that organization that also had access. So they were able to then go in and block my friend that got hacked. So do make sure you have a backup person. That's got to be somebody you totally trust. Make it, even a family member rather than having, somebody from your business, unless it's a business partner, somebody you totally can trust. Because that's the other problem you can run into with business pages is admins can remove other admins. So if you have a disgruntled employee or anybody like that that has access to your page, they can actually block you out on your page. So you need to make sure you maintain that admin access. Help your company's page, however, you do want to have people with other roles. You want to have somebody that can monitor the account and post on the account. One of my clients I'm actually working on right now, they have about 5 or 10 different people that post on their account. So they actually have a social media calendar to kind of schedule out what type of posts they're going to be doing when and who's going to be posting what, so they don't all step on each other. So it's kind of small, but you can see over here I do have a little chart about the different types of editors and admins and roles and what access they have to the different pieces. And that actually is on Facebook. So when you go in creating your page roles, you can actually see what they can have access to. Second, on your business pages, be aware of toxic users. Unfortunately, internet trolling and Facebook spamming does exist, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. One way to stop this is to ban users from your page. I personally don't like to ban people unless they really, really, really cross the line. I prefer with my clients to give a few warnings. And I also post in the About section for those Facebook pages. I also post a very clear policy as to what will cause a ban in advance of a ban. So if they use profanity or do a lot of spamming or extremely rude or harassment, I make it very clear they will be banned. You can also hide comments. That's actually, to me, preferable than deleting or blocking people. Is if it's something, if they've only done it once and they said something that's inappropriate, hiding the comment is a lot better than blocking them completely. They may not be realized. And then I send them warnings. I say, hey, your comment was hidden and here's why. So, sometimes it's just an honest mistake that people are just being a little bit overly passionate. Also, make sure you go into your page settings and moderate how much amount of profanity you're willing to accept and set those. I usually set it very tight for profanity filters. A simple way to modify comments is through blocking words. When you block a specific word, any post or comment published to your page will not appear. In addition to blocking words, you can also block profane content by turning on the profanity filter in the general settings section of your Facebook page. So that's another way to really maintain a good, positive social media page for your business. So I'm going to actually skip over the storefront options. And if anybody wants more information on that, I can definitely email that information to you or talk to you afterwards. But I'm going to skip right here to, finally, for your website information about why it's important to keep a fresh website. So fresh content counts. And, you know, the thing is with websites as well as social media, is both social media and websites need fresh content. You need to keep it going all the time. If you're not posting something regularly to your website or to your social media, people aren't going to find you, because Google algorithms take a lot of different freshness metrics into account when determining how your website should rank. So you might be competing with a lot of other folks out there, and you want your item to come up very high in the search engines. So you want to make sure that you look at all of the information on a per page basis. And that includes when you created the content. That's your overall SEO credibility. It's improved by having content that has been around longer, but Google also maintains a freshness score that degrades over time. In other words, keep it fresh. You know, you want to be online for a long period of time, but you also want to keep things fresh. Size of the change. Google tracks how much of the content on the page is changed and when the page is updated. It's a little change or a big difference, and it calculates that into a freshness score. Type of change. Changes to content are more heavily weighted in your freshness score than changes to scripts, comments, advertisements, or global page items like headers and footers. You know, how often do you change? That's an important thing. New page creation. Are you adding new pages to your website? And rate of growth, link growth. The rate of new backlinks to a page are also a signal of freshness to a Google page, to Google. And the fresher the rating of the linking site, the better the indicator of the freshness for the target page as well, meaning the sites linking to yours should also be fresh. So basically, you know, you want to make sure you're keeping everything fresh for Google being able to find you, but also for your returning customers. They want to know it's new information. They want to know it's fresh. And if you don't have, you know, some of this depends also on whether you're maintaining your own website, whether you have your web designer maintain the content on your website. And like Sandy and I talked about earlier today, is that, you know, just like if you get a social media manager, or if you're getting a content manager for your website, you need to make sure that that person is aware of changes in your business. Are you having a sale this week? Is there a major key topic item that you want to make sure that is out there? You're the only one that knows your business. So you need to make sure, even if you're hiring somebody to write your content for you, you need to make sure that that person's aware that something may be coming up or that there's a new sale going on, because that's going to make a huge difference on how fresh your content is on your website. So really quick on content, on keeping your content fresh, content creation. And again, this depends on your access. Are you updating your own website, or are you hiring somebody to update your own website? But either way, you as a business need to be regularly checking your content for fresh information. Are you regularly creating content targeted at different stages of the buyer's journey? And if not, it's a time to start. You need to think about the buyer's journey. The buyer's journey is yet another presentation, which would be a whole new presentation. However, it basically takes what steps you take from beginning of the process of discovering your products to the final sale. You need to walk through that process, put yourself in the shoes of your clients, walk through that process, and make sure you're providing information and content every step of the way. And then finally, monitor your search engine optimization, just like we were talking about with Google. Are you regularly checking your site for broken links and signals, other signals of bad SEO? Check your site constantly for bad or outdated links. Update your key search terms. Identify key terms and search options regularly. Remember to cross-promote on both social media and your website. And I even suggest a lot of times for my clients, because they're not always great about updating both their website and their social media on a regular basis, is I suggest to include a social media RSS feed in their site so that there's a constant flow of updated information on the buyer's journey. That doesn't necessarily always help with the SEO, but it will help with your buyer's journey. And just remember, the key to safe, secure, and fresh online business presence is keeping track of the details. Look for things that might be out of place and be vigilant at all times, whether it be your website or your personal Facebook pages or your Twitter accounts or your Instagram accounts. Always question if it seems something unusual. And like Henry Ford said, paying attention to the simple things is what most men neglect, and which makes a few men rich. All right, so I am ready for questions. Sorry it took so long.
Well, thanks, Beth. I know that I learned a lot, and I'm sure that the folks online have learned a lot. A couple of questions we received is, how do you stop scammers from sending email as your domain?
That one is a very hard one, and it all depends on your on what domain you're using, how your email is hosted. You know, that's an easy one because, you know, people are able to mimic domains very easily. Just like I talked about with Amazon, even Amazon has trouble with people mimicking their domain. So it's really difficult to stop people from actually using your domain in emails, because there's a lot of ways, backdoor ways, that scammers and hackers are able to do that. But the big thing is to look. You'll usually see, and I can share, I'll have to find the image in just a minute, but actually, I'm going to show this. Hold on here. Let me find the file. Okay, well, I have an image I was going to share, but I need to find it. That basically, it's an image of an email from Amazon, quote unquote. But when you actually start looking into the tracking information on that email, it shows the fake email address that actually it came from. So it's even Amazon and Walmart and BB&T and those others have a really hard time preventing people from stealing their domains from that.
Okay, and I think it's more of a request. David McLeish would like to have the information on the storefront.
Okay, well, and I will definitely, I can share that. I know that, you know, we're starting to get a little long on time, and I know a lot of people don't have a really long attention span, and I have gone over my hour that I was originally going to go. But that is a whole nother presentation, but I can definitely, if you want to give me his contact information after the meeting, I can email the storefront presentation that I've done previously. I was going to get into it today, but my timing, I went a lot longer than I planned on, because as I said, I'm a little passionate about social media security. So.
I understand. And just, I wanted to piggyback on what you'd said about loading pictures up on Facebook and to your other variety of social media platforms is really look at those pictures carefully to see what's in the background before you upload it. And then, you know, I don't know if it's as prevalent as it used to be when smartphones came out, but, you know, there was a setting that if you didn't turn it off, it would attach your locations. So you might want to do that, especially if you're taking pictures at a location that you don't want others to know about, that sensitivity. And then about the two-factor authentication, for some, that they might think that's a pain, and is that something they have to do every time they open Facebook on their device? Or is it they have to only do that once when they start using Facebook or whatever platform that you're using the two-factor on that specific device?
Setting up your two-factor authentication is a one-time process for setting it up. So, you know, you go into your settings account, into your privacy settings, you go in, you set up that two-factor authentication, and then anytime you log into a new device, it will send you a message and say, just to make sure it really is you. You know, it could theoretically be a pain, but it is well worth it. The actual going into your privacy settings and setting up the two-factor authentication is a one-time thing. Actually authenticating any new devices, you know, how often do we change devices for checking our social media accounts, honestly? And that way you're able to monitor if somebody tries to log into your account from a new device, you know. So to me, it is worth any of the headache or hassle that you might get, because as I said, I made the mistake of checking my phone at the beach, and it connected to the hotel network. Within 24 hours, I had somebody in India trying to log into my Facebook account. And if I had not had that two-factor authentication, I would have never known about it, and they could have easily hacked into all my stuff. And I've done all of the other check marks on, what I was suggesting today, but I didn't use my VPN, and I was on a public Wi-Fi. So I definitely suggest two-factor authentication, because no matter how careful you are, you're going to have that time, you're going to slip up, and that's when you're going to those hackers access to you.
Now, what I'm getting at is that it just takes a little time at first, but it could save you lots of headache in the future. And
yeah,
then,
for mine, it would have been a nightmare. I maintained 22 Facebook pages, so that would have been a problem.
yes. And then I just wanted to also mention on when we were talking about email attachments or friend requests, is you use the old thing. If when in doubt, don't do it.
Yep.
And always check out when you receive an email with an attachment, look to see where that's coming from. I know from our organization, we get a lot of phishing emails because
Yep.
we are a financial institution, and you have to be careful about that. The same way with friend requests. If
Yep.
they don't have any friends or nobody that I don't connect.
And they may even have friends that because that's often how they get your information, is they've already connected with another friend. So then you say, oh, they're friends with Sandy. I guess I'm going to have to be friends with them now as well. So you have to be really careful. Even if even if they know somebody you need to look to see, okay, do we really actually know each other? Because they might have already gotten that friends list, and they're working their way down through it. So
great. Well, thank you so much. For those that are joining us, I wanted to let you know that later today we will upload the video from today's session, and it will be on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page, and then we will also archive this in our YouTube New Knowledge sessions, which has well over hundreds of workshops that we've been doing over the time. We've got a great lineup with, the partners. We've been working hard, and we've got a total of, I guess there's about 18 more sessions from now and through June 2021 for new knowledge workshops. The next one will be on marketing your business beyond your window sign, and that'll be on August the 5th. And Cindy Fields with Virginia Highlands Small Business Development Center will be leading that. And if anybody wants a copy of Beth's PowerPoint today, I'm sure she will share that, and we can get that to you. Just let us know. But I thank you. Thank you for your time and expertise. I know that we're taking away time from your business as an entrepreneur, but we appreciate you doing this for us, and look forward to seeing you folks at other sessions. So be safe, and if there's anything that we can do, please let us know. And Kathy, are you still on the line? Do you want to say anything? I think she's gone. So thanks, everybody, and have a super day. Bye-bye.
thank you.